decision-making, getting the ball out of his hands, understanding that playing with rhythm and timing is how he's going to progress as a quarterback, and let the dynamic plays be an absolute necessity when he breaks out. But it was just the beautiful kind of synergy that he had with Ben Johnson. This is what we expected from Ben Johnson. I know preseason, a lot of things changed, but Caleb held the ball a lot last year. He tried to make more out of nothing. He threw the ball away in this game as well to save himself. So I thought he did a phenomenal job. The first play of the game, though, you could tell Ben Johnson's stamp is now being put on this by moving him out of the pocket and giving him an easy throw.
For me, he turned weakness into strength. I mean, that was the weakness. And this wasn't just his rookie year weakness. This is something that we saw at USC. And so you're talking about a big body of work of something that a player's weak at and struggles at. And yes, small body of work, 10 passes, preseason moment, but it went from a weakness to a strength. And so if that's the starting point, the foundation, the baseline right now, then there's definite growth and development for Caleb.
So let me throw into the conversation. Yesterday, Danny, you and me and Shefty and Mike Tannenbaum, we were raving about his performance the night before. And we got a text from a Hall of Fame coach, a legendary Hall of Fame coach that said, so I guess we're putting a gold jacket on Caleb Williams now after one night.
Yeah.
So just to put the other side to it, are we overreacting to what was obviously a very good night?
Yeah, but we should overreact. Like, this is part of it, right? This is part of watching a player do something that we aren't used to. And here is what I say. If you told me, hey, RC, I really hate it when you walk a certain way, right? I need you to do this differently. If you do this differently, it'll make you better on TV. I want to come in the next day and over-exaggerate the way you want me to walk. That's what I saw from Caleb Williams, right? Ben Johnson says, okay, I want to see you get the football out of your hands. I also want to see you protect it and not take bad plays. And when you look at this game, he got the football out of his hands, and then there were two plays. He gets rushed by DeMar Hamlin. He escapes out of the back of the pocket, and he throws the football away. And then you have another play where he has the screen, right? He has an opportunity to hit the screen. The screen's not open. He dirts the ball. The next two plays, the third and five to Alameda Zaki, is just a touchdown. The next play is a 5-yard pass or a 7-yard pass to DJ Moore, and it's a first down. And so now Caleb Williams, who has this glaring issue that is not just an issue we saw last year, it's a habit, right? It's historic for him. The first time out, he makes sure those things don't happen. And that says to me that the way Ben Johnson is coaching him is something that's taken.
Okay. It was very basic what he saw defensively.
Yes.
Versus some backups, yes. But we're not overreacting, and we say this all the time. I don't really care about the result. What did it look like? How was the operation? Was that better? Yes. He's not going to see the defenses that he saw Sunday night in the regular season with the people running it. That's the truth, okay? But that doesn't mean we can't look there and go encouraged by it. What he's going to see week 1 in the regular season will be a completely different experience. Buffalo lined up. The first ball down the middle of the field to Cole Kmet, the safety's at 4 yards when the ball gets snapped, and he's got to get 30 yards deep. That's not going to be what he's going to see against Minnesota. Hunter Smith is going to be a completely different experience. So, I said this yesterday, Greeny. The next step is going to be when he goes to throw that number 1 guy and oh crap, that's not the person getting the ball, then what does it look like? Because that's real play.
That's why I think the biggest thing comes out of Sunday night is the effect it has on him and his development going forward. If he had been lousy Sunday night,
you'd be
and he goes home to that, right?
Red flag.
Right, and it's all on, then that's a problem. I go back always to this conversation I had with Kevin O'Connell last year in training camp, where he talked about the worst thing for a young quarterback is when negativity compounds, and then that starts to affect your confidence. So bad things are going to happen, but you don't want them to pile on top of each other to the point where you feel like it's too much. Caleb Williams had a positive experience on Sunday night, and he can build off of that.
And I don't understand this sentiment of not being excited about a coach accentuating something that we thought was a problem for you. That throws me for. I hate when people say that, because your ass would have overreacted if he would have played awful. You'd have said it's time for him to go. They need to figure out the quarterback. What we wanted to see from Caleb Williams was, could he play on time? Could he play in structure? And would he make decisions positively for the offense to continue to move forward? He checked all 3 boxes. The coach that just came from Detroit was one of the best offensive minds in the NFL. He was brought to Chicago to develop a quarterback that all of us saw had all the intangibles that you need to be good. And it showed dividends in a preseason game What the hell are we supposed to say?
That's it, right? Because the questions are, can he do this? Can he?
Yes.
Now you know he can't.
Right.
Will he? Every single week? Every single practice?
TBD.
No.
But that's the thing,
But
though.
he
Ben
can.
Ben Johnson, I didn't know what sort of personality he'd have because if it seemed like he never wanted to go take that head coaching job. He's a dog. Like, Ben Johnson's a G. After the game, he didn't get up there and say, oh, this is going to be great. It's going to be linear. He said, you know what, with a young player, sometimes it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back. It won't be this linear process where he's just great. But for today, it was good. And this is the other thing. You know when we were like raving about Caleb Williams last year? He rolled to the left, he threw it to the right, and it was this awesome throw.
It was not
right now, we're talking about his process.
Right
now, we're talking about his mechanics, and that's a step forward.
And this is just a developmental thing for him. It doesn't mean that he's going to go win MVP.
Right.
There is going to be ups and downs this season.
Right.
But this is a good starting point.
And you don't want to have all that conversation because, as we all know, real G's move. Jaguars' second preseason game Sunday against the Saints due to an upper body injury, according to his coach Liam Cohen, also held out of Friday's walkthrough as a precaution. First and foremost, Graziano, do we have any sense of this injury and his situation?
It doesn't sound like they're concerned about this affecting the start of the season, but obviously any missed practice time for a player that's trying to be 2 players is going to set him back a little bit.
So, RC, say to these guys what you said to me in the meeting this morning.
That if he doesn't play both sides of the football, you wasted a pick. You wasted assets. You decided that moving up to number 2 wasn't truly what you wanted to do because he's not the number 2 pick as a wide receiver. He's not the number 2 pick as a cornerback. He is the number 2 pick if he plays both.
Right.
He is the number 2 pick if he affects both sides of the football. If he doesn't do that, what you gave up, giving up next year's first-round pick to get him is not worth it to play offense primarily or no defense and vice versa. So to me, if you have to make that decision based on his inability to physically hold up throughout 17 games, it was a mistake to draft Travis Hunter.
If he predominantly plays offense, catches 70 passes for 1,200 yards and 6 touchdowns, and Trevor Lawrence looks like the number 1 pick, he's absolutely worth the...
No, because then you could have got Ladd McConkey last year.
Yeah.
Because Ladd McConkey had 1,200 yards.
But this regime wasn't there last year.
But it's Liam Cohen's problem to fix Trevor Lawrence. It's not Travis Hunter's problem to fix Trevor Lawrence.
No. It's James Gladstone's the general manager. It's his responsibility.
Neither receivers nor corners ever go number 2. That is the rarest of rarities.
Calvin Johnson went number 2. He's not Calvin Johnson.
No, I know that. But listen, I understand the premise, but the most important thing in Jacksonville is getting Trevor Lawrence to play at an incredibly high level because he was supposed to at the number 1 pick. And if Travis Hunter is part of that and he steps in even with the asset given to him and the high draft pick and he comes in and this offense rolls and Trevor Lawrence looks outstanding, totally worth it.
But he can help on both sides of the ball.
No question.
Their defense only had 8 takeaways last year. Like, you got to get Trevor Lawrence the ball in some good field position.
If Travis Hunter plays both sides and he gets 6 interceptions on defense and he catches 50 passes and Trevor Lawrence stinks, what he does doesn't matter. It's about Trevor Lawrence.
But what
Trevor Lawrence is responsible for